There are television characters who simply pass through your living room and then disappear the moment the credits roll. And then there are characters who become so embedded in popular culture that years after the final episode airs, people are still asking about them. Penny Hofstadter from The Big Bang Theory is undeniably one of those characters. For 12 years, she was the sun at the center of a solar system of nerds, the warm, quick-witted, emotionally grounded neighbor who made a show about quantum physics and string theory feel like a warm hug. But here's the thing people forget. Penny was never just a role. She was the career-defining performance of Kaley Cuoco, an actress who had been quietly building one of the most interesting resumes in Hollywood since she was 6 years old. And today, far from coasting on the nostalgia of a beloved sitcom, Kaley Cuoco is doing work that is genuinely leaving people stunned. To understand just how remarkable her journey has been, you need to go back to the beginning, not to The Big Bang Theory, but to a little girl in Camarillo, California, who was already juggling tennis rackets, commercial sets, and audition scripts before most kids had decided what their favorite cartoon was. Kaley Christine Cuoco was born on November 30th, 1985, and grew up as the eldest daughter of a real estate father and a homemaker mother. From the outside, her childhood looked like a fairly typical Southern California upbringing. Sunshine, sports, school. But underneath the surface, something was already churning. Kaley was not just good at one thing. She was unnervingly good at several. By the time she was a toddler, she had taken to tennis with a natural ease that made people stop and pay attention. And by the time she was 6, she was appearing in a Barbie commercial with the kind of screen comfort that usually takes years of training to develop. That early Barbie spot was not merely a cute childhood memory. It was the first signal that this particular little girl had a relationship with the camera that most people never quite find. Her acting career built steadily through her childhood years. At 7, she appeared in the film Quicksand, No Escape opposite Donald Sutherland, which is a genuinely unusual credit for a second grader. She then landed the role of the young version of Ellen DeGeneres' character in the ABC comedy series Ellen, which ran from 1994 onward, and gave Kaley 4 years of consistent on-set experience alongside one of comedy's most distinctive voices. During that same stretch, she was popping up in films like the 1995 science fiction thriller Virtuosity, rubbing shoulders on set with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe, and appearing in the Jennifer Aniston romantic comedy Picture Perfect in 1997. To put that in perspective, before Kaley Cuoco turned 13, she had worked alongside 3 of the most recognizable names in Hollywood. She was not being discovered. She was developing, quietly and steadily, into a professional. The real turning point in her pre-Big Bang Theory career came with 8 simple rules for dating my teenage daughter, the ABC sitcom, where she played the teenage Bridget Hennessy. What makes this story compelling is not simply that she got the role. It is the fact that she nearly did not. Producers reportedly contacted her agent after an early audition to flag real concerns about her performance. Rather than retreat, Kaley worked on her craft and came back for a second chance. And she made it count. Her performance earned her the Teen Choice Award for Breakout Star in 2003 and opened a cascade of opportunities, guest roles, voice acting work on animated series, and eventually a recurring role on the supernatural drama Charmed, where co-executive producer Brad Kern reportedly praised her for bringing fresh energy and new perspective to an established ensemble. Charmed's producers were reportedly so pleased that they explored the idea of spinning her character off into a show of its own. That plan never materialized because something much larger was about to interrupt it. The Big Bang Theory arrived in Kaley Cuoco's life the way great opportunities often do, sideways, through a back door after an initial rejection. She had auditioned for the original unaired pilot, in which the female lead was a character named Katie, and she did not get the part. The producers felt she was too young at 19. But when the show was reworked, the Katie character was reconceived entirely as Penny, warmer, funnier, more grounded, an aspiring actress from Nebraska working at the Cheesecake Factory who happened to live next door to a pair of brilliant but socially bewildered physicists. Creator Chuck Lorre reached back out. Kaley came in and read for the new character, and by her own account it felt completely different. The fit was immediate. Her co-star Johnny Galecki would later describe the chemistry of that pilot reshoot as feeling almost musical, like a band that had been playing together for years. The Big Bang Theory premiered on CBS in September 2007 and spent its first season finding its footing amid a mixed critical reception. Some early viewers felt the show leaned too heavily on nerdy stereotypes. But the writers kept sharpening the characters. The science consultants kept the physics boards honest, including a UCLA professor of physics and astronomy who was present for every taping involving technical content for 6 seasons. And by the 3rd season, the audience response had transformed entirely. Millions of viewers tuned in each week, and the show's particular magic became clear. It was about the collision between different ways of understanding the world, and nobody embodied that collision more purely than Penny. She did not have a PhD, but she had emotional intelligence in quantities her neighbors could not begin to calculate. She was funny, but never foolish. She evolved over 12 seasons from the girl next door into a pharmaceutical sales representative with a real arc, real relationships, and real depth. The awards followed in large numbers. The show earned Emmy nominations for Outstanding Comedy Series across multiple years, and Jim Parsons, who played Sheldon Cooper, won the Outstanding Lead Actor Emmy 4 separate times. Kaley herself won the People's Choice Award for Favorite Comedic TV Actress twice, in 2014 and 2015. By the time the series concluded in May 2019, after 12 seasons and 279 episodes, it was one of the longest-running multi-camera comedies in television history. What Kaley Cuoco chose to do with that platform afterward is where the story becomes genuinely surprising. Rather than simply wait for the next comfortable sitcom offer, she had already been building something during the final years of the show. She founded her own production company, named Norman after her dog, and used it to develop a project that looked nothing like anything she had done before. The Flight Attendant, which she created through Norman Productions in partnership with HBO Max, premiered in 2020 and announced loudly that Kaley Cuoco was not merely a sitcom actress who had gotten lucky with one extraordinary show. She played Cassie, a flight attendant with a serious drinking problem who wakes up in a Bangkok hotel room next to a dead man she cannot remember killing. The show moved between reality and Cassie's fractured internal world with a confidence that was striking, and Cuoco's performance earned her a Golden Globe nomination, the industry's acknowledgement that something genuinely unexpected had happened. Alongside that, she became the voice of Harley Quinn in the animated series of the same name, a role that required an almost complete tonal departure from everything audiences associated with her. Harley Quinn is anarchic, profane, and brilliantly unhinged, and Cuoco found something in that character that was genuinely compelling. She also appeared in the 2023 Peacock series based on a true story, a darkly comic thriller in which she played a woman who becomes convinced that she and her husband can solve a real murder, a role that again demonstrated her instinct for finding comedy inside genuinely dark material. Meanwhile, her personal life has moved through its own complicated chapters. She and Johnny Galecki quietly dated for a period during the early seasons of The Big Bang Theory, keeping the relationship almost entirely private. She was briefly engaged to addiction specialist Josh Resnick. She married tennis professional Ryan Sweeting on New Year's Eve 2013, a marriage that ended in divorce in 2015. She later married equestrian Carl Cook in 2018, a relationship that also ended in 2021 in a joint statement that emphasized mutual respect and the honest divergence of two people who had simply grown in different directions. After 2 marriages, Cuoco said in a 2022 interview that she was not interested in marrying again, preferring the idea of a committed partnership without the institutional weight of the institution itself. And then, relatively quietly, she found one. In May 2022, she posted a series of photographs that introduced the world to Tom Pelphrey, an accomplished dramatic actor best known for his work in the Netflix crime series Ozark, where he played the volatile, deeply human Ben Davis. The photographs showed a couple genuinely happy. The caption Kaley chose was a fragment of poetry about light breaking through clouds. By October of that year, the couple announced that Kaley was pregnant, and in early 2023 their daughter, Matilda Carmine Ritchie Pelphrey, was born. In March 2024, as Matilda turned 1, her parents shared a video compilation on social media that offered the world a glimpse into a life that seemed, by any honest reading, genuinely joyful. All of which brings us to the question that headlines keep circling without quite landing on. Who is Kaley Cuoco now? And what does her story actually mean? The answer is more interesting than any celebrity transformation narrative gives it credit for. She is not simply the girl next door grown up. She is an actress who spent her entire childhood becoming a professional, who bet on a sitcom that the industry initially underestimated, who parlayed that bet into creative ownership, who took genuine risks on roles designed to break the type she had spent a decade building, and who is raising a daughter with a partner who seems, by every available indication, to be exactly the right fit. The world has not been stunned by a change in how she looks or who she married. It has been stunned by the quiet, persistent accumulation of choices made by someone who clearly always knew what she was doing. That is a more satisfying reveal than any headline transformation can capture. And it is the real story of Kaley Cuoco, 5 years after the lights went down on The Big Bang Theory.